Good evening, you're watching The Right Stand with me, Poonam Burde. On Sunday night, NIA made its biggest breakthrough in the Delhi blast case. It arrested co-conspirator Amir Rashid. Remember, it was CNN-News18 who first showed you the images of Amir Rashid on the 10th of November. NIA has confirmed CNN-News18's news break with the arrest of Rashid. According to the agency, Amir Rashid Ali, whose name was registered on the car that was used in the attack, that I-20 that blew up outside the Red Fort metro station, was arrested in Delhi after the agency formally took over the probe. The investigation found that Amir from Pampore in Jammu and Kashmir had planned the attack with the suspected suicide bomber Dr. Umar Nabi. Amir allegedly came to Delhi to help Nabi buy the car, which was later used as a vehicle-borne IED to cause the blast. Meanwhile, the brother of Falah University chairman Javed Siddiqui, who is under investigation in this Delhi blast case because there are at least 3 doctors turned terrorists who are linked to the Falah University, has now been arrested by Madhya Pradesh police. That arrest was made from Hyderabad in connection with a financial fraud in Mao, but his links with this terror network will also be under scrutiny. Hamid Siddiqui, accused of orchestrating a large-scale financial fraud in Madhya Pradesh 25 years ago, was arrested yesterday as well. Continuing with its investigation in the 10-11 car bomb blast, the NIA has arrested another key associate of a terrorist involved in this blast. NIA investigations have revealed that Yasir, who was allegedly providing technical support for carrying out terror attacks by modifying drones and attempting to make rockets ahead of this blast that killed several and injured over 30 people. Agencies are closing in on the big conspirators of the 10-11 Delhi attack. Is it unmasking a deeper plot? That's what we want to open up here on CNN News 18. But before we open that up to our panelists who join us today, CNN News 18 has accessed details of the remand note of Amir Rashid, who was produced in court today. This is what it states, and I quote, "Rashid aided in carrying out the blast with precision to create fear, that he provided logistical support to the bomber in this case, which was Dr. Umar Nabi, who was behind the wheel of that killer I-20. Rashid is believed to have helped in procuring these explosives and needs to be taken to Kashmir to unearth the entire plot and the criminal conspiracy. Rashid's motive was to threaten sovereignty, integrity and the unity of India is what the investigating agencies believe." Another aspect of this entire plot was Dr. Shaheen. The interrogation report of Dr. Shaheen has also been accessed here on CNN News 18. Remember, she is one of the accused in this white-collar terror module. It reveals a complex web of radicalization, covert operations and terror financing, all of which lead to the Falah University in Faridabad in Haryana. As per details that have been accessed by CNN News 18, security sources tell us that a close group of members dominated by Kashmiri faculty that systematically created ideological silos. They operated unchecked. They became a safe conduit for these key suspects, Dr. Umar and Dr. Muzammil, who allegedly acted as the operation's masterminds. According to interrogation details of Dr. Shaheen, both Muzammil and Umar Nabi used this environment at Falah University to consolidate their influence, push the kind of ideological narratives that they wanted to, and then quietly planned a major operation. Security sources are telling CNN News 18 that these 2 men functioned as the operational chiefs. The transportation of several drums that shared the red eco-sport that has now been seized by the agencies, along with references to travel to Turkey and links to a Pakistani contact named Okasa, has all raised suspicion of possible foreign ideological handlers. That link is yet to be established, but do all roads point to Pakistan once again? That's something that the agency is looking at. According to Dr. Shaheen's interrogation, there were several payments that were made, zakat or charity as it's called. Those payments were converted into terror money. Dr. Muzammil received 22 lakhs via a religious trust. The financial flow continued and that was then directly linked to buying weapons. The contributions that were made as charity over the years provided this convenient cash channel for these individuals. These zakat channels were ideal for financing. There are no transaction trails that the investigation agencies have so far found, which is exactly why they use those charity routes. Muzammil's religious faith was used to build trust and access these funds is what agencies believe. The interrogation has also revealed that Dr. Shaheen received these funds in her account, that she was believed to be the financier of this entire terror module, that she also contributed for the Punjab flood relief fund so as to not raise eyebrows of where so much money was coming from and what it was being put to use for. Muzammil's 1 lakh top-up request suggests that there was some last-minute financing that was being done by this entire terror module. Where that money came from, all of that is, of course, under investigation now. The Maulvi who was picked up from Kashmir, who's believed to be the one who indoctrinated all of these individuals, is also under the scanner to figure out what exactly the channel of the funding really is, how deep it runs, and how far and wide it runs beyond this country as well. So these are some of the dots that the investigating agencies are now trying to join. We here at CNN News 18 are trying to piece together what exactly transpired and what the ramifications of this will be. And joining me on this broadcast are Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, security analyst, former diplomat, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is with us as well, and author Anand Ranganathan. Let me begin by asking Lieutenant General Pandey, we're seeing these kind of details that are now trickling in, most of which don't come as a surprise. But we are yet to find any direct links, so to say, to Pakistan. Do you think that's just a matter of time?
Yeah, firstly, it is just a matter of time. And please, the challenge going to happen is that as the time will move on, as this entire concept of using non-state actors or terrorists or the terrorist support network in these networks starts, you'll find that there'll be enough block holes which will be put between Pakistan and these terror networks, because eventually even they need to protect themselves from the world condemnation or sanctions or direct connections, especially when you find a very great amount of pressure coming out from the government of India. All three service chiefs have spoken that next terror attack is going to be, in case the finger is connected to Pakistan, it will be at the cost of geography. And in any case, the Prime Minister said very clearly that any terror attack is going to be construed as an act of war. So what happens is that this distance is going to be put in place. But please understand, you're not anymore dealing with people who are ground workers or the foot soldiers. You are dealing with intelligent minds, right? These are people who have educated, they have cleared certain degree of examinations, they are doctors, they are engineers. They understand how to spin the system, how to protect themselves, how to ensure layers and layers of security. And the last is that today's technology allows you to keep protecting or hiding the trail much more easily. So yet, and I think on the previous sometime back also I mentioned, follow the trail of money. Because everything in logistics, terror cannot be sustained without logistics, and logistics requires certain degree of funding. And if you follow the money trail, you will get where you are getting. But the fact is that if the money is going to be coming through transactions which are hidden through the dark web, through a variety of systems which are available for such operations, that trail also is going to be difficult to find. But I'm quite sure that the security agencies which are working at it will be able to link it to the shores of Pakistan. May not be directly to the establishment, but surely to Jaish or whichever organization has perpetuated this entire process.
And those lines of state and non-state actors, which is something that Pakistan has always hid behind, Ambassador Dogra, that's completely out in the open now. Those lines don't exist. It's all one and the same. And that's something that has now even been reinforced after Asim Munir gave himself another promotion, another elevation, giving him complete freedom from any accountability.
Well, firstly, thank God it was discovered in time. But is that all? There could be much more. The second reaction is that they did it all in broad daylight. They transported huge amounts of dangerous material and we were sleeping. Is it happening in other parts of the country? For example, let's say in Kerala or Punjab or wherever else. So what we have discovered so far is, thank God, and secondly, it is just the tip of the iceberg. Because if the danger is embedded in the minds of men, then no amount of countermeasures can really save us. And the danger has indeed been embedded in minds of men and women. As far as Pakistan is concerned, they have grown much wiser over the years in protecting the links. And that is why we do not find easy trail back taking the recent findings to Pakistan. And even if we do find, Pakistan will deny it. Pakistan will make counter allegations and so on. So the issue is not so much the trail going back to Pakistan, which is for investigators to find and our agencies to find, which I'm sure they would. But the fact is that the nation already knows that if it is black and white, then it is Pakistan. And in this case, it is more black and more white than can be. So obviously Pakistan, and now there are new elements. I mean, Turkey is also being talked of in terms of supplying some of the parts for explosion. So our difficulties are getting greater, more complex, and more difficult to handle. But it is also for the society to take countermeasures. Why were houses and flats given on rent to people who were suspicious, who did not use them, or whose movements were not those of the normal citizens of a country? So it is a wake-up call, but I hope we do wake up, because we've had too many wake-up calls in the past also, and we did not wake up.
And which is why, unfortunately, we've seen this kind of attack. But Anand Ranganathan, before I get you in, Ambassador Dogra, I want to ask you this because you mentioned Turkey. Is this something that will have repercussions as far as diplomacy between India and Turkey is concerned? We also do know that two of these individuals did travel to Turkey, whether they were there on leisure, whether they were meeting their alleged handlers there from Pakistan. We don't know just yet. That hasn't been established, but it does raise some suspicion, isn't it?
Well, not only, I mean, you're right, it does raise suspicion, but Turkey's behavior towards India has not exactly been friendly over the past many months, starting in Operation Sindoor, where they were openly siding with Pakistan, not just verbally, but also in terms of transfer of drone technology, drones and technicians. Secondly, recently, Turkey has not allowed a flight taking Indian Apache helicopters bought from an American company to overfly Turkey, with the result that they were lying in Britain for a long time. So Turkey is not exactly friendly towards India, and I would not be surprised if it gets more and more involved in activities which are clearly anti-Indian.
And that's something that India needs to be wary of. But speaking about this entire module, Anand Ranganathan, you know, the sense that we usually had, or the kind of narrative that we had, that it was the troubled waters, so to say, that Pakistan and its proxies wanted to fish in, that these were impoverished, alienated youth that they were targeting. But that's not the case at all with this particular module. They come from well-educated families. They themselves are extremely highly educated. Many of them come from well-to-do families as well. So what explains this kind of radicalism to the extent where you would blow yourself up and take down innocent other people with you?
Thank you very much. Good evening, Poonam, and good evening to my fellow panelists. The first thing we need to understand is that there is nothing radical about it. If I memorized chapter and verse of the book Biochemistry by Leninger, would you call me a radical scientist? No, it's all there. But be that as it may, I have to accept that the disclosures in this Red Fort terror case are, you're right, spine-chilling. And it is clear that these doctors wanted to destroy the country that cared for them at the behest of a country they wanted to care for. But you know, to come back to that question, away from these disclosures, you're right, something else is being disclosed as well. This justification and whitewashing of terrorists and terrorism. It has already become, Poonam, by these usual suspects, that these terrorists were kind, affable, brilliant doctors, and that their terrorism has to be looked from a different prism. Asking why were they forced into terrorism in the first place? This is a textbook action, reaction, provocation, reaction theory. But then, why don't they apply the same theory to Godhra riots and justify them as a reaction to the train burning? There, they don't bring this action, reaction theory. But then it's not about them, Poonam. It's about us. Because after all, you have to ask this question. Who allows thousands to attend funerals of terrorists? Who withdraws cases against Muslim rioters? Who gives bail to Coimbatore bombers despite Supreme Court refusing to do so? Who blames Nupur for burning the country instead of blaming those who actually burned the country? Pune, more than 5 doctors, including Muzammil, the mastermind of the Delhi terror attack, has been arrested. The chilling details of this modus operandi leave very little to imagination. But while it may come as a news to many, I'm sorry, it's not news to me. Because in being relieved at him being arrested, we are yet again missing the woods for the trees. After all, did Muzammil incite riots in Kanpur over Nupur merely quoting the hadiths? Was it Muzammil who beheaded Kanhaiya Lal? Was it Muzammil who led a bloody thirsty mob that killed Ankit in Delhi? Was it Muzammil who attacked hundreds of Ram Navami processions, Durga Puja procession, Hanuman Jayanti Shobha Yatra, Garba celebration with impunity? Was it Muzammil who removed Bhagwa flags from temple in Muda Bidri and replaced them with Islamic flags? Was it Muzammil who replaced Ashok Chakra in the Indian flag with Islamic Kalma in Mehboob Was it Muzammil who stood for elections from Meerut offering 51 crores to the beheaders of Charlie Hebdo journalists? Was it Muzammil who screamed Ralif Galif Salif from mosques? Was it Muzammil who attended the funeral of Burhan Wani of Yaqub Memon of Nasrallah? Poonam, there is a parallel world that is inhabited by millions of Muzammils, a world where they are not bound by rules, morality, ethics, propriety by which they want the rest of us to be bound by. Because 30 seconds, their morality, ethics, conduct is not dictated by man but by God. Let us be under no illusion. The situation is intractable. It hasn't changed for 1,000 years. Why on earth would it change in 10? Yaqub passed on the baton to Afzal, who passed it on to Burhan, who passed it on to Tahir, who passed it on to Muzammil, who, unknown to us, has probably passed it on to someone else. You can condemn the fundamentalists as long as you want, but they are only following the fundamentals, and you dare not condemn the fundamentals. Remember, moderates wield the pen, extremists the gun. The belief of moderates provides the cushion to the extremists. One of 5 Muslim signatories publicized by Tharoor who condemned the terror attack is Shahid Siddiqui. He comes across as a moderate in English, does he not? And this is what he says in Urdu regarding Taslima Nasreen. शैतान की बेटी तस्लीमा नजरीन सरज़े हिंद पर कब तक मौज बनाएगी? This is the folk tongue, Poonam. What can you do?
And what can you do when you have politicians like Mehbooba Mufti or Hussain Dalwai of the Congress who try and come out and impute motives to what exactly happened, question the timing, blame organizations like the RSS or the BJP, not really see what the issue at hand is? And before I get my panelists on that in as well, I want our viewers to listen in to what Mehbooba Mufti and Congress's Hussain Dalwai had to say.
मरकजी सरकार से आपने बहुत तबाही मचाई 2019 के बाद। ये जो दहशत का माहौल आपने बनाया, आपने दुनिया को बोला कश्मीर में सब ठीक हो गया, मगर अब देखिए कश्मीर का मुसीबत जो हमारी थी वो परसों रेड फोर्ट लाल किले के सामने बोल पड़ी। आपने वादा किया था कि आप जम्मू कश्मीर को सेफ बनाओगे, मगर आपने यहाँ की सेफ्टी तो दूर की बात है, आपने तो दिल्ली को भी अनसेफ कर दिया अपनी पॉलिसी से।
जिस ढंग से कश्मीर में अन्याय हो रहा है उसके कुछ उसका भी परिणाम कुछ होगा, ये मानना चाहिए। इलेक्शन आने के बाद बराबर बमकांड क्यों होता है, ये इसका भी जांच होनी चाहिए। आरएसएस जिस ढंग से प्रचार वगैरह करती है, ऋतुम्बरा का ये आया था, उनको वो छोड़े तो क्या सरकार आरएसएस का भी जांच करेगी?
Well, Everett Pandey, as far as Kashmir and its abrogation is concerned, this is not the first time abrogation of Article 370 is concerned. This is not the first time Mehbooba Mufti or other politicians from the valley have made such comments that, you removed Article 370 and that alienated the youth further. A lot of individuals, a lot of politicians from across the board come out and say that the issue really is that you've made it worse for Kashmir, which is what we're now seeing as a spillover effect in Delhi. Do you believe that that's something that should that's a narrative that should be peddled at all?
I'm sorry, what they are saying is they have been saying this for last how many years? 80 years, right? So we look at only in the prism of what she's saying yesterday or today, but we don't look at it that people like her and such have been speaking the similar folk language as Dr. Anand has said for last about 80 years. And this is on which radicalization, the enablement of terrorism and instigation for terrorism starts, right? This language starts. Please tell me that how is it possible that nearly without 35 years of investment into separatism and terrorism can be finished in just 5 years of post-application activities. It is not a miracle. When you inject a virus for such a long time, that virus can mutate, they can be controlled for some period of time, but it will come out again, time and again, and in a different form. And this, the way they both are talking, and not only them, there are many such people who are talking. I just want to give a very subtle one example to just confirm what Dr. Anand has said. You know, there is a guy on X who has tweeted a morphed or an AI-generated comment of the Chief of Army Staff, right? And thereafter, he just added after some time by finger pointing that it is an AI-generated in the last line. But the message has moved of a divisive language, knowing fully well. So we have laws in our country, but as Dr. Anand is saying, even Dograji is saying that we are not actually using those laws to ensure that such voices are truly managed and taken to task. This is being exploited not only by Pakistan and by people like them, because they know we are a soft state. We may say that we are going to hate, we'll do X, Y, Z, but actually, why don't we use these laws to actually hold people accountable for what statements they make on a public platform? So as long as people are going to be talking of these dual languages to send messages, we'll continue to have such instances and such events. Just one more point I must tell you. There is a nurturing. I'll just take your mind back for about 10 years or 15 years back, when there is an inversion of terrorism and terrorists started taking place from Pakistan, which realized that every time is taking a bold step of getting across and sending terrorists which are branded as Pakistani terrorists, or there are connections which is happening, the world bodies are coming after them and they are being exposed very openly, right? So they inverted this whole process, and they have over the last about 15 years, 20 years using the soft separatists in our country.
Correct.
In a benign and a simple manner. They have created an environment of nurturing radicalization and terrorist activities within the country. So the face is going to be a Kashmiri Muslim, but the levers and the controls behind will always remain in the hands of Pakistanis, and they will control the timing when it has to be done, right? The technology today provides that protection from being held accountable for through the systems, and they can be exposed, because it's very difficult to now today make a dossier and take around in the world and say that digital currencies has moved, or crypto has moved from one place to another, and there are so many forms that are available. So they have invested, and in last 15-20 years this investment has resulted in people who are highly educated to corrupt their mind, to reach those positions where they can now carry out such activities with impunity.
And that's the most distressing bit. These are
elsewhere.
highly educated individuals. It's not that they are brainwashed into following one particular set of instructions, so to say, but they can use their own brain and try and amplify that as well, because that's exactly what perhaps they've been taught through their education, through where they've been working. If they're doctors as such, they would be knowing what kind of instructions to take and how to amplify it from there. But Ambassador Dogra, I want to ask you this. You know, when we saw Operation Sindoor, when we saw the Pahalgam attack, the kind of messaging that came in from the political establishment, from the government as well, was very clear. At that time too, we had said that any future act of terror would be considered as an act of war. But that's not something that so far we've done publicly, at least not so much so that point in the direction of Pakistan as far as the Red Fort blast goes. Do you think there's a more cautious approach this time around, and why is that, if that is the case?
Well, firstly, I'll make a brief reference to Mehbooba Mufti. Quite frankly, I was shocked that she's virtually celebrating the bomb attack near Red Fort and linking it to the statehood. Now, this is not just irresponsible, this is verging on acting against the best interests of the country that she resides in. So, I think people have given a message to her by defeating her in the elections. So to say that people of Kashmir are also with her and that is why she's saying this. I don't think that is correct. People are fed up of leaders who misguide them. Uh, as far as government's approach is concerned, that you referred to, as against what happened during Operation Sindoor and what is happening now in terms of the bomb blast near Lal Killa, I think it's a correct approach because government does not want to rush in and link it to a particular country or a particular group till it is absolutely sure. And in this case, as my fellow panelists have also hinted, the links are not so direct and open as yet. We'll reach there, but till we reach there, we do not want to be blamed by the outside world, especially USA, that look, where is the proof? So I think government is adopting the correct position. It is not as if it is said that it is not going to take any action. What it wants to do is to be firstly absolutely sure itself that it has uncovered the entire story and then simultaneously inform the outside world and thereafter consider taking action as is appropriate, which has been conveyed at various levels in the government already. That it is not as if we've forgotten about the action, but we'll take it when we are confident that action needs to be taken. So I think that caution is well needed, and it should be saluted for the attitude.
And speaking of the action, in fact, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has just about made a comment. He says that we will hunt down the culprits of the Delhi bomb blast, even from the depths of netherworld. He says, Patal se bhi dhoond layenge, but we will ensure that the strictest possible punishment is meted out to those responsible for the loss of lives outside the Red Fort metro station, where the explosion, where the blast took place on 10th of November. Ankur, my colleague, joins us, getting us more details on this as well. Yes, Ankur.
Yes, Poonam. So today, Union Home Minister held a 32nd meeting of Northern Zonal Council in Faridabad, and initially the meeting was started with the tribute which was paid to those who lost their lives in recent car explosion in Delhi, and also in Nagaon police station in Jammu and Kashmir, and 2-minute silence was observed. Importantly, in this meeting, Union Home Minister has categorically reiterated that we will hunt down the culprits of the Delhi bomb blast even from the depths of netherworld, which is Patal, ensure that they receive the strictest possible punishment. And he also said that eliminating terrorism from its root under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a collective commitment. So certainly the Union Home Minister has once again reiterated that certainly the multiple agencies are probing, and all the key suspects, key players who are the part of this white collar terror module will be facing the trial and the punishment also. And this is not the first time when Union Home Minister has said this thing. Earlier also, just after the attack, he also briefed the media and said that we will hunt down all the culprits involved in this particular bomb blast case. Back to you.
Absolutely. The intent is very clear. Ankur, for the moment, thank you so much. Anand Ranganathan, the messaging is very clear from the government side. But the Prime Minister, the Home Minister now have made it very clear that action will be taken. Those responsible will be punished. But like Ambassador Dogra was also pointing out, that this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've already seen this kind of network span from Kashmir to Uttar Pradesh to Haryana to Delhi. God alone knows how far it goes from here.
And that is the classic problem that my two wonderful co-panelists have also been talking about, including you. You know, we are looking at the hyena outside our home, but we are ignoring the elephant in the room. And let me expose the almost psychopathic rationalization and justification of people like Mehbooba Mufti and others who are blaming RSS and saying, that Kashmiri youth were victimized, and that is the result of, what you're seeing in. Likewise, 500,000 Kashmiri Hindus were driven out through ethnic genocide in 1990. They were driven out of their homes, they were killed, butchered, raped. Should they pick up arms? Should they say that they were victims of this, so now they justify killing the Muslims in Kashmir? Would that be okay by Mehbooba Mufti? This is the warped psychopathic logic that these people always come at, and I've already exposed it, taking the example of Godhra. Should the Godhra riots be a justification of what happened, because of the train burning? So you can't, you can't improve them, you can't improve their logic, you can't make them see the mirror. As I said, they are radicalized to, from the beginning itself. There's nothing that can be done.
Well, we'll have to wait and watch as to how deep the rot really runs and how far India does manage to go to ensure that we try and nip it in the bud this time around. Unfortunately, we've tried it for years together. Attacks like these happen. This time it was Delhi. We hope not that there is another one like this and that this entire network is dismantled at the earliest. But I have to leave it there. I thank you all gentlemen for joining us here on The Right Stat. But speaking of what action India would be taking, there perhaps is a hint not just from the political establishment but also from the military establishment. Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi today termed Operation Sindoor as just a trailer. He trained guns on Pakistan for supporting cross-border terrorism. He was speaking at the Chanakya Defence Dialogue when he said that when Pakistan fuels terrorism, it's a matter of concern for us. We talk about progress, but if anyone creates hurdles, we will have to act. And that message needs to ring loud and clear to our hostile neighbour.
जब आप स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म या राज्य प्रायोजित आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देते हैं तो ये हमारे लिए, भारत के लिए बहुत चिंता का विषय बन जाता है। क्योंकि देखिए, हम तो एक उन्नति की बात करते हैं, हम सबको साथ में लेके चलने की बात करते हैं। तो जो भी हमारे काम में रोड़ा अटकाएगा उसके लिए हमें कुछ न कुछ कार्रवाई करनी पड़ेगी। मैं तो ये कहना चाहूंगा कि मूवी शुरू भी नहीं हुई थी, सिर्फ एक ट्रेलर दिखाया गया था और ट्रेलर के बाद 88 घंटे में वो ट्रेलर खत्म हो गया था। तो आगे आने वाले हालात कैसे होंगे, ये इसके बारे में हम पूरी तैयारी करके बैठे हुए हैं।
Former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been sentenced to death by the International Crimes Tribunal in Dhaka after the court convicted her of crimes against humanity that were linked to last year's student-led protests that ultimately triggered the collapse of her government. Sheikh Hasina, who's in exile in India, was tried in absentia. She's also released a statement